Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5 Minutes PM podcast. Today, I'd like to discuss with you the tragedy in Japan and the relationship with risk management. Why I'm doing this? Because we are facing in the couple of days one big tragedy, and with the earthquake and also the tsunami and also the nuclear power plants. And this is a big tragedy for Japan and for the world. And most of the time when we are watching television, we see people saying, how we can avoid this, how we can stop this, and how we can not have any problem anymore with nuclear energy or any more earthquakes. And then I'd like to be very concrete here and very rational here. It's impossible to avoid. It's impossible. This is the part of the life. It doesn't mean that we can't mitigate. So look, it's different. It's different. We need to reduce risk to a standard that we can tolerate. And Japan was a huge and a great example of that. Remember, up to one day before this earthquake, Japan was an outstanding country regarding response to the natural disasters. I remember when I recorded a podcast of Haiti 1 year ago. Remember, Haiti was a much lower powerful earthquake and killed more than 200,000 people. And this earthquake was more than 100 times more strong. And the results were much less. I'm not saying that they were irrelevant. They were extremely relevant, but much less, with a much more powerful. Why? Because Japan in the past learned from other disasters to prevent. But now, when we face such a tragedy, everybody forget this. Everybody forget this. We need to understand that this earthquake was completely out of any kind of prediction. Any kind. Was far the largest and the strongest earthquake. And so Japan was prepared for several earthquakes. More than 500 earthquakes around the date when the tragedy happened. But in the other way, what happened was outside of any kind of prevention. So because of that we saw this. So now what we need to understand, we need to revisit our assumptions and maybe reduce our tolerance to the risk. But we never will have plans to completely avoid the risk. Because this is above and beyond our own control. And this is the nature of risk. Risk management is exactly this. You are unsure. You don't know if something will or not happen. And this is the challenge for us. So look the nuclear power plant. When we see on the television, they look so weak. But this is not true. This is not true. What happened is that they weren't prepared for this kind of magnitude of not only earthquake, but also a tsunami. And this made, maybe now in the future, we need to revisit all assumptions and maybe redefine of putting the nuclear power plants in other places, in another way, maybe improve safety, I don't know. But we can't avoid, we can't say, okay, let's stop doing nuclear power plants. I was a trainee in the Brazilian nuclear agency. It's so interesting to see this. I'm not defending, but it's so interesting to say, let's stop this. It's impossible because if we use the same assumption, we need to stop doing everything because everything has risk. I'm trying to be very rational here. Everything. So we need to understand that risk management is the discipline that runs with uncertainty. We are not sure of what is going on. And because of that, we need to develop models to improve our ability to predict and also to reduce the consequence of the risk. For sure, in the future, Japan will be different, will be completely different. But we need to understand that what happened was completely out of any kind of prediction. Look, when we prepare an oil platform in the ocean, we usually calculate the biggest wave in the last 1,000 years. But let's suppose that tomorrow we have a wave that is bigger and bigger than the biggest wave in 1,000 years. And this can happen. We cannot say, oh, we are completely safe. But we think that with this prediction, we are more safe. We are more safe. So look, this is the challenge for us while understand risk management. So I'd like to finish this podcast sending our support and our strong support and condolence to the families in Japan. And for sure, all the project managers around the world are here to support and help in any way the Japan to build up. And also, let's try to bring all this hard knowledge we produced with this strategy, to bring this to prepare and refine more our risk management, and to understand also that life is sometimes unpredictable and we need to deal with that. There is no risk-free action. Thank you very much and see you next week with another 5 Minutes PM podcast.